curve cut with the curve armor, and I've still got the same piece up. What we're going to do now is talk about importing pieces onto your armor. Nothing too crazy, but just talk about like if I wanted more pieces sticking out of the armor or something like that and how we can do it. And we left off last time, we talked about copying and pasting armor. So we're going to do that real quick. So I'm targeting my armor. Make sure I'm not targeting just the side, the whole armor. Copy, so Control C, Control V. It's going to bring this up and you won't see a second piece until you move it. Once you move it, you can see I have two identical pieces. And this will make sense in here in a second as to why I'm doing that. Okay, so I've got my pieces set up, and now let's say I want to have some armor pieces kind of shooting off of here. So what I'm going to do is draw my basic design of what I want, something real simple. So I'm just going to come down here, target my base, and I'm just going to draw up something real basic, just like that. Remember whenever you're drawing, if you don't have a shaded area in between your lines, it's not a solid shape and it will not extrude. Okay, so make sure that you get that shaded area in the middle. Then extrude it. Do my menu like we did last time. Extrude it up. Boom. Okay, there's my piece right there. That's probably a little bit bigger than what we needed for. Let's say I wanted to keep it straight, so actually that's a little bit bigger than I needed it for. So if I found that it was too big, I could go through the process of cutting it, or I just click on the side, target one of my sides once it comes up. Just this is not going to cooperate. There we go. So I've got it one side targeted. I'm going to go to my menu, and I'm going to tell it press pull, and I'm going to take it down to where I want it at. I don't want it to be too big. I want it to be like a little plate right there. And then all I'm going to do is move it into position. Up. And let's say I want my little spiky piece to be sticking out. Just like this right here. Okay? So if I look at it, I'm kind of hovering above it right now. I'm going to get it set in position. Make sure you keep moving your piece to make sure you're in the right area. Get it right, just right. And I'm going to rotate it so I get a good angle on it. Okay? Now you can do the same procedure with lines like we did the curve cut before by curving it on the map and taking it down. But I'm going to show you a quick secret rather than trying to mimic that curve cut. Is see how I've got it in my copied piece right here. I've got it set up right in my copied piece. So it's just sitting like right there. And I look at it and go, is that the way I want it to look? Yeah, that's the way I want it to look. So I've got basically two options now. I can either combine these two pieces together, which we'll talk about in a second, and then hover this piece over here right underneath it, and it's going to cut that piece off, that little chunk right there off. Or what I can do is what we're going to do right now is I'm going to do the subtraction mode. Okay? Subtraction is the opposite of merging. Okay? But important things to know about subtracting is when I click on subtract, so again, I'm going to go up here, my combine mode, I've got merge, subtract, intersect, and separate. All important pieces. Merging is making this piece become this piece. Subtracting is taking one main piece and taking away another piece. Intersecting is basically I'm going to tell it to intersect these two pieces but only keep the overlapping parts. So if I have parts that are extending off it, it's going to get rid of them. And then separate is once I do a cut, anything that's left over we're going to have to separate, and we'll show that in a second. So again, I'm going to do my subtraction mode. And don't worry about this too much. Just come down here and remember the most important thing is to click on the first object you want to keep. The object you want to keep should be the first thing you click. So click on it, and then it immediately switches over. It automatically switches over for me right there. See that? I'm going to come down and click my other piece, and then all I have to do is hit enter. And see how it disappears? And it gives me the perfect contour of my other piece, my primary piece. Now how I talked about separating shells, if you look at it, whenever I hover over it, it's keeping both pieces together, and they're going to move together wherever I move them at. See that? So in order to get rid of this last piece over here, I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to have to do separate, and I'm going to click on the piece I want to separate. Separate that. And now they're individual pieces. Just target it, delete it, and it's gone. Then I'm going to drag my piece over. Just drag it on over, boop, 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 until I get it exactly where I wanted it at, and it should merge up perfectly. Maybe a little bit more. And in cases like this, if you're not getting it just the way you want it, don't be afraid to use that little dot. Just be real careful with your elevations, okay? And if I look at it, see I'm a little bit, something's a little bit off. I'm just going to rotate it to where it meshes up nice and neat. I'm going to drag it down just a little bit. There's an option called magnetic, where you can basically click, snap pieces together, right? And that's nice and all, but occasionally it doesn't work very well. So just be very cautious with that. But it's not like you can't just tell it to go back, you know? Which is kind of the nice thing about everything is never be afraid to try something, because all you have to do is come up here and go to the undo button. Okay, so I'm going to double check it's where it's supposed to be at. Everything looks good. I don't have any space in there, so that's positive. Once I have it set, I'm going to do the combine button. So this is the opposite of separate. Remember separate? So I'm going to come up here. Subtract, I mean. So I'm going to do merge, 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 merge. They both highlighted, enter. And now this is going to be one solid piece now. One complete solid piece. So when it goes to print, it's going to print this entire piece just like that. Now, some fancy things we could do is, so I'm going to do undo. I'm going to undo the merge. Okay, so it's right there. Some fancy things you can do while you're sitting right here is just target your piece, copy and paste it. And then all you have to do is, if you wanted multiple pieces, you could just drag them down and just keep dragging pieces down. And to be even more fancy, if you wanted them to be like in descending order or scaling down, you can either sink them more into your piece, your main item, or you can just scale them down. And we'll talk about scaling later on and easy and hard ways to do it. But for right now, it's a piece, so let's merge them here real quick. I'm going to merge, 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 enter, merge, merge, enter, merge, 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 enter. And as always, I'm sure there's probably a more technical and easier, or maybe a better way to do it. This is just the way that I've done it, because I'm telling you, trying to get more technical and fancier on items, I have lost work, and it's taken me a long time to get work done. So generally, I go with what I know, and this is what I'm showing you is exactly what I know and how to do things. And there's just a quick, simple, kind of an elaborate piece of armor, just right there. All we did was duplicate, cut, create pieces, and attach. Real simple. And you can tell you can do pretty complex curves and pretty complex cuts really, really easily. All right, thanks. We'll see you next time.